Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Book Nook. I'm glad you're here because I wanted to show you a story that I'm pretty excited to read. It's a folktale, like the ones we've been learning about. It's called The Magic Lake. But I don't feel very inspired by this space right now. It doesn't match the vibe of the story. Like, if you're reading a ghost story, it's better to read it by flashlight on a dark, rainy night to get fully immersed in it. So that made me think, why don't I give the Book Nook a makeover to match the setting of my new story? The problem is I don't know much about the story yet. I know that it's about a magic lake, but I don't know anything else about the setting. Remember when we learned about story elements like the plot and characters? Well, you already know that the setting is a key story element too. The setting is where and when the events happen. It tells you the place, time, and environment, which helps set the scene for the story. But how do we figure out what the setting is? Well, we can find clues from textual and sensory details. The author often gives us hints through descriptive language, helping us get a vivid idea of the scene. They might use words that bring in sounds, textures, tastes, and smells, helping us connect more deeply with the story. We can also make inferences by piecing together information that the author doesn't directly tell us to draw conclusions about the setting. Like if a story describes, "We heard the waves crashing while we walked across the hot sand." What could we infer about this setting? Well, the author didn't say it, but I'm thinking the story is set on a summer day at the beach. All right, back to our story. Let's read the first part of The Magic Lake. Follow along as I highlight descriptive language that gives us clues about the setting. "500 years ago, in the majestic mountains of the Inca kingdom, a powerful king had a young son who fell ill with a mysterious illness. The king, desperate to heal his beloved son, called upon the wise men of his kingdom. They handed him a golden box and said, 'You must go to the lake where sky and water meet. Fill this box with the magic water to cure the prince.' So the king sent word to his people, 'Whoever brings back the magic water can keep the golden box.' At a small humble llama farm nearby, a poor family heard the news. Two older brothers, eager for the reward, decided to go in search of the lake. They set off across the rugged trails of the Andes, but could not find the magic lake. In the end, each brother filled the golden box with ordinary lake water and returned it to the king. When it failed to cure the prince, the angry king threw both brothers into prison." Let's look at the clues I've highlighted that tell us when the story is set. Here it says, Inca Kingdom. I know this is a clue about the setting, but I don't know much about the Inca. Whenever a story is set in an unfamiliar time or place, we can search for descriptive language or clues that give us more context. Check it out. I highlighted 500 years ago, because this tells us that the Inca kingdom existed a long time ago. And this picture here shows characters in traditional clothing, which helps me imagine what life was like back then. What else? Well, poor family and powerful king show us that the story is set in a time when a strong royal family ruled the land. The contrast between rich and poor shows us the brothers' motivation to search for the lake, as they hope to earn the golden box and become rich. Okay, I've got some good ideas for the Book Nook already. I'll add a picture of Inca art and traditional music to represent the distant past. Wow, it's starting to feel like we're in a different era. That's got me thinking. What would happen to the characters and the events if the story was set in a different time? Imagine it was set in the future. Well, advanced technology would probably make finding the lake easier. This would completely change the story. The brothers would likely find the lake, cure the prince, and never be thrown in jail. This would remove much of the conflict. the problem that the characters face. And as a result, it would change everything that happens next. Okay, now back to the real story. Let's think about where the story takes place. The words majestic mountains and small humble llama farm help us visualize the setting. Other details like mysterious illness and magic water to cure the prince. These are things that go beyond ordinary experiences, adding a touch of the supernatural to the story's setting. In this story, the characters truly believe in the lake's healing power, which sets the brothers' adventure in motion. Aha! I know exactly what else to add to the book nook. A cute llama toy and a photo of mountains. Perfect! Now that's made me think again. We talked about how the characters and events would change if it was set in a different time. But what if it was set in a different place, like a spooky forest full of scary creatures? Well, the brothers might feel scared instead of determined. They'd be worried about what might be lurking in the shadows, making the journey more tense and difficult. They might even encounter some scary creatures along the way. Okay, should we keep reading? We haven't even got to the part about the lake yet. Now it's your turn. As you read, highlight the descriptive language in the story that gives you clues about the setting, then draw or write about it. Remember, you're looking for details about time and place. You can pause to read at your own pace. So what clues did you find? I highlighted trees and snow-capped peaks, which tell us we're still in the vast natural setting of the mountains. I also noticed magical elements like talking birds and a magic fan, which add to the mystical atmosphere of the story. What descriptive language did you find? I found the beautiful lake sparkling and fizzing below. The author uses language that creates a sense of awe and uses sensory details to show the lake is an enchanted, picturesque place. Great. So what could I add to the book nook now? Aha! A blue blanket to represent the magic lake. Perfect. Now, just like we did earlier, let's think about how changing the setting of the magic lake would affect the events, characters' choices, and plot. Instead of a magic lake in the mountains during the Inca civilization, imagine the setting was a magic fountain in the center of ancient Rome. Pause the video and write about how you think the story would change. Here's what I think. If Sumac and her brothers searched for the magic fountain in the busy streets of ancient Rome, they'd likely meet different characters, like Roman citizens or mythical creatures. These characters could either help or hinder them, and might try to find the fountain as well, possibly even fighting for its magical healing powers. The story could be tense and competitive as they raced against each other through the crowded city. And you know what else I've thought about? What if the magic lake didn't exist at all? There'd be no cure for the prince, no reason for a quest to search for it, and no macaws with their magic fan. The story would be totally different. Wow. That's made me realize that the setting is the story. Without the setting, the story can't exist. Now that the book nook has the perfect vibe, I'm curious to see how this story ends. You can read it too, and keep working on those goals. See you next time! Hey.